Hi there. Are you looking to experience more love, more peace, and more abundance in your life? Do you want to wake up each day with greater purpose and feel more fulfilled? If you are, then this is the place for you. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey. Over the past 2 decades, our open and affirming community has created a safe space for all to come and be uplifted. I hope you enjoy watching, and if you like what you see, please visit us at cslnj.org.
Thank you all for being here today, August 31st. As everyone has said to me so far, what the hell happened to summer? It's August 31st, and here we are at Labor Day weekend already. But it's a gorgeous, I don't know, what I have come to find out here, and I don't know if we have them all represented today, but we've got someone from Panama here today. We've got somebody from Colorado here today. We've got probably Mexico tuning in here pretty soon. And if we get Thai from Japan. That'll be even more impressive. So we're all over the place. But and no matter where you are, and I will quote, since today is a day of quotes, a good friend of ours who said, "Today is the most glorious day of my life," and that is so true. And it is, right, Donald Bay? Today, the most glorious day of your life. I know that.
Correct. Correct.
All right. So why don't we let's start by just saying what we always say, and that's who we are and why we're here and what we do. I just put it into the chat for everybody to read along with, and please, if you are reading along, make sure you're muted so that you have a lovely voice. I know it, but it doesn't work well with Zoom. Okay. We are an open and affirming science of mind community where the vibration of love lifts you, the wisdom of the ages inspires you, and the science of mind teaching empowers you. We believe that heaven and hell are states of consciousness that you experience in this lifetime. You are the architect of your life, and it is never too late to know true happiness. And that is also very true. I like to, again, I've already greeted Lynette and thanked her for being here today. I want to thank Nettie for being our practitioner of the day today. And it's really going to be a fantastic day. It's going to be a little bit different than usual, but like I always say on these holidays, um, except for one person I know on the screen here personally, who's a family member. This is the meeting of all those people that don't have a beach house. That's why we're all here. So
thank you. How beautiful. And I am so grateful for this perfect day, this perfect family, this perfect community. And I am mostly so grateful for the truth that there is one and only one power, one presence, one beautiful, beautiful universal love. And this is the only truth and has always been the only truth and will only always be the truth of me and of everyone here, of everyone everywhere. And I know that as part of this powerful force, I am love. I am joy. I am beauty. I am the presence of the one, individualized expression of the one. And in this perfection, I and each one of us demonstrates that beauty and that joy and embraces that beauty and that joy. I trust in this truth. And as I trust in this truth, I release all fear and all doubt, anything except a deep knowing that all is well, and that on this perfect day, I know only peace, I know only comfort, I'm surrounded by wisdom, which is part of me. And I look deep within and feel the wisdom and the guidance to know what is mine to do today as this unique manifestation of this beautiful one. This one that created this beautiful day today created me. And I live in that perfection. I relax. I trust. I allow this truth to be true in me. And I accept the wonder of this promise of who I am. I am so grateful as I surrender this truth and release it to love and to the law, which always says yes. With great gratitude, I release my word, and so it is. And now, if you'll join me in the affirmation for August, which I love. I live in the yes of life. There are no limitations on what I can create in my life, and there are no limitations on my enjoyment of my life. I am free to be whatever I want to be and however I choose to express the all of me. I know this truth for myself and for all others. We are free to be, and so it is. I'm just so grateful for that deep, abiding peace of knowing the truth. And we're aware that peace needs to start with each of us and then grows from the inside out. So let us affirm that peace by repeating after me each of the following statements. I am the peace I want to see. I know this peace for my family. I know this peace for my community. And my community knows this peace for my country. Community knows this peace for the world. And so it is.
Thank you, Nettie. And I did see the Pacheco's are still in Portugal. So my gosh, we really are spread out today. And we even have somebody here from Rhode Island. I mean, come on now. How's it's got to be that special to be from Rhode Island. So small state, big personality though. So it is time for our practitioner reading, and in taking a little break from what we normally do and reading from the Science of Mind book, today's different. So I have found a reading, and especially since if you read what I wrote in the newsletters this week about um, you know deciding to take a new path, looking to do something a little bit different, and how different times we try and make those decisions rather than just in a moment by moment. I'll do it at the first of the year. I'll do it, as soon as school starts, I'm going to do something different, or, and we are there now. But I think this is an ongoing, really important reminder that I found, and I just take a breath, take this in. It's called A Series of Gentle Reminders. It's from Excuse Me as I Kiss the Sky by Rudy Francisco, if anybody knows who that is. Delete the phone number. Trash the boxes. Give the old sweaters away. Stop holding on to things that do not fit you anymore. Forgive them. They didn't apologize, and you're still mad. But what I do know is this. A closed fist can punch through a wall, but you can't fix the hole until you open your hands. The past is one of the few things more stubborn than we are. It will not change. And it doesn't care if you have a better idea of how the story should have ended. Healing begins when we stop trying to run backwards on the escalator and embrace whatever will keep us moving forward. It's hard to be alive, but it looks so good on you. Someone is happy that you exist. So many things have tried to break you. None of them have turned in their assignments. I think that's a good enough reason to celebrate. I heard it takes only one person to be a parade. The truth is, we aren't here long enough to drag around this much apathy. Tell people you love them. Death doesn't call before it comes over. Time will agree to play freeze tag, but will follow none of the rules. Hey, try not to be so hard on yourself. We don't know how long we'll be on this planet or what we're supposed to do while we're here. We're all just crashing into each other and trying to fall in love with the collision. That was Rudy Francisco. All right, so 8 of the smartest quotes ever said. One of the things that I really like about this particular philosophy and this particular teaching is that Holmes was smart enough not to think that he was the one guy, that he was the answer, the one guru, that he was pretty open about where he went out and how much he read and how much he brought in from people like Troward and Emerson and just Jesus and many other people, just wherever he felt it would help to build this teaching. And yes, there's a lot of references in the largest section of the book to the teachings of Jesus. And you've heard me say this before, that probably the second person who he refers to in the book more than anybody else is Plotinus. And Plotinus, my memory is not quite that good, but I think it goes back. Plotinus somewhere around like 150 CE, 200 CE, something like that. But when you read what Plotinus had done or thought, written his philosophy back then, you see how similar it is to what we are. So when I saw this pop up, I didn't pick these 8 myself. This was something that popped up, and I thought, oh, okay, let's see. And let me see if these smartest quotes relate to what we do here every week and what we know and what we're trying to do with our lives. And pretty much I found that every single one of them does. And the other thought came to me is like, some of these quotes are from people from thousands of years ago, and it's like, wow, we still haven't gotten it. I mean, it's like somebody's been telling us this for 1,000 or 2,000 years, and it's like, yeah, okay, maybe it's time we let this sink in. So we'll get started with a quote from Seneca. We suffer more in our imagination than in reality. And I can't think of anything that isn't more true than that, right? And, it goes to what we have done with the 4 agreements and not making assumptions. It is absolutely that imagination, that voice in our head that talks to us all the time. And sometimes we wonder whose voice is that? Is that my mother's voice? Is that my father's voice? Is that, what is that voice? But one of the things that script that runs is never, it's like when you're driving in a car and you're not driving along going, wow, you know what, I'm really a nice person. It's like, look at how beautiful I am, aren't I wonderful, and don't I have a great personality, and gosh golly, everybody likes me, and I'm just, no, those aren't the things that we kind of run through our mind. We're driving and we're imagining, I don't know, I'm going to this meeting. Am I going to fit in? I don't know if it's going to work. We imagine the worst case scenario all the time, which is completely useless. And it doesn't help us at all. And then any stretch of the imagination, it's not true. Because when we're doing that, all we're doing is not living in the present moment, as we talk about all the time, but we are living totally in the future and what we anticipate that's going to be. And that works against us probably more than anything else. So, yes, we do suffer more in our imagination than in reality, for sure. The second quote is from George Eliot. It's never too late to be what you might have been. We just read, right, our welcome statement that says you're never too old to know true happiness, that you are the architect of your life and you're never too old to know true happiness. You know, there's, we have talked about it. We've talked about it in the class that I just ran. Reverend Joel and I have spoken about this, about how when we got to the point, not because of any particular illness being threatened by an illness or anything, that we were okay to die, that our life opened up 100-fold, right? And this took place like when I was 50 years old, not recently. And you know, our concept that time is limited and that we have the constraints of time and that I'm too old to get that done. A lot of times the idea of saying, you know, well, I'm too old, it's too late now for me to do that, is often an excuse for our self-doubt. It gives us an easy out, right? It's that thing that says, well, you know what, I wanted to do that, but I'm probably too old now, rather than having the realization that, what is it going to hurt? I'm going to take this step. I'm going to do what I want to do, that I have all the time that I need to have in order to get that done. But the fear of failing quite often lets us use that as an excuse. And it's also a misunderstanding about time. We tend to think that time is linear. It's not. We don't exist in a linear time. We use it for measurements. It's pretty easy to say, let's all meet here at 10:30 this morning, as opposed to people just popping in and out any time of the day and expecting things to be here. But time is just a measurement tool that we've made up. But how we use time, and I'm trying to remember the name of the book. We did it a number of years ago. You know, the difference between uh, um, like Einstein time and linear time. You know, that we create the time that we have. We create what's possible, right, with the time that we have. And as soon as we try and put a clock on it, we put a measurement to it, it really, really does constrain what's possible for us. So, you know, and it does remind me in his quote, "It's never too late to be what you might have been," also reminded me of the quote by John Greenfield Whittier, which was, "Of all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these, it might have been." And we say it all the time. We don't want to die with our music still in us. We don't want to die with that book still in us. Whatever it is, or whatever it is that we wanted to express in life. Um, and certainly not because we think it's too late. It's never too late. And it's never too late for so many things that are so important. It doesn't have to be that, you know, and we see it all the time. Louise Hay. Louise Hay started her publishing company when she was 62 years old and went on to be this phenomenally large. I forget who bought it. I forget who bought Hay House, but that company got sold, I'm sure, for a huge amount of money. I think it was sold after she passed. But this idea of it never being too late, I think, is so critical, especially since we talk to a lot of baby boomers here, right? And now's the time to express, to create, to be that. Um, Three, This is from Marcus Aurelius. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Well, we certainly have that as a basis for our teaching here, right? Change your thinking, change your life, change your thoughts. It does make me think, okay, that's great. I got to change my thoughts, but where does the thought come from? And where do I go in order to change that thought? And that's a huge part of what we teach all the time as far as meditation. Okay. Because if you're not, if I think most of you would agree with me that I'll ask the question a lot when I teach meditation, are you your thoughts? And quite often I get that response like the dog. You know, I go, okay, calm down. Would you agree with me that you are a product of your thoughts? And everybody says, yes, I would agree I'm a product of my thought. Well, thought can't be changed at the level of thought, right? Like the famous quote, problem can't be solved by the same mind that created it. So where do you go to change the thought? Well, you got to find the thinker of the thought. Where does the thinker of the thought exist? Well, the thinker of the thought doesn't exist at the level of thought. The thinker of the thought exists in the gap between the thoughts, and that's the role of the observer. And that's what we talk about all the time and why we are so keyed into meditation, because it puts you into that role of the thinker of the thought, into the role of the observer. It puts you into a very mindful lifestyle. And if you're doing a mindful lifestyle and you have a mindfulness practice, that means that you will stay in that state of mindfulness all day long, not just when you're sitting there meditating. So that when things kind of take a little right-hand turn or a left-hand turn, that you have an awareness of what's going on, you're mindful of it, and you learn to change that level of thought on the fly. Because now you're more in the role of the observer and you can change what's happening as you go along, as opposed to thinking, well, I'll figure this out when I get home tonight and I sit and meditate. So that is absolutely, this is, you know, this is also, to me, one of the most important aspects of what we do here. And many years ago, Michelle had asked, "What do you think is probably one of the most important principles to you that we teach?" Without a doubt, to me, it's the creative process. We are created in God's image, which to me means that we have been put here as creative beings, right? God is creation. God is creative. That's what God is. That's what we are. Every moment, all the time, we are creating. And you can't say, and we know this, it comes right out of the textbook. You can't say one thought is creative and another is not. You can't say, well, I meant that one, but I didn't mean this one. It just doesn't work that way. Whatever you put out there, even if it is in your imagination, going all the way back to our quote from Seneca, even if it is that, they're all creative. That's why, let's go back to the four agreements. You need to be impeccable with your speech, with your word, because that is, you are creating your life all the time. And, here we are, Marcus Aurelius, thousands of years ago. We're still saying the same thing, folks. Let's go. Let's get it in order. Let's get this straight. I know I need to pay more attention to that. That's why I show up every Sunday, and so that I get reminded to stay in here. Um, Also, on that same line, which I love, is the quote from Eckhart Tolle. If it's the quality of our consciousness that determines the future, what is it that determines the quality of our consciousness? Right? And the answer is it's our ability to be present. And if we're being present, we're paying attention to our thoughts and we're making conscious choices. And if we're making conscious choices, then all of a sudden people say, oh, I got good luck. Oh, I got good karma. Or if they're not conscious choices and we aren't there, then it's like, oh, I got bad karma. I got bad luck. The good, the bad, the karma, the thoughts, the luck, that doesn't exist. It's just a matter of being conscious and being present to our thoughts as we're having them. Carl Jung, love Carl Jung and his quotes. This one's a good one. Thinking is difficult. That is why most people judge. Thinking is difficult. That is why most people judge. And that is definitely true. And I think a lot of people think, well, I'm not judging. I'm just saying what is. Well, if there's an opinion attached to it, if you're putting a quality attached to it, a good, a bad, a right, or wrong, you're judging. If you're observing and you're saying, wow, I really don't like the color of that room. I mean, that's just an observation. If you say, wow, that was really stupid of that person to paint that room, there's a judgment involved there. You can't do that. You can't look at somebody and say that once you assign that quality of good or bad or right or wrong to it, that you really are in that. And that's why thinking is difficult, because there has to be a process behind what you're saying in order to do it. Judging is poison, right? Judging is the one thing that's going to keep us so constricted in our lives and so tied up and not living freely, right? We say it all the time. If you don't judge, there's no need to forgive. We do a lot on forgiveness and how freeing forgiveness is, but the freeing part really could start by not putting a judgment on something, right? Because if I don't judge you as doing something wrong to me, then I have no need to forgive you. If I look at you and just say, okay, you're doing the best you can with what you have, I get it. That's okay. But as soon as I judge you for intentionally trying to come and hurt me, it takes it to an entirely different level. And as we say, people judge. Curiosity will derail judgment all the time. If we remain curious, it eliminates the possibility of judging, and it certainly leads to an understanding. Okay, so there's no doubt. He's right on that one. Thinking is difficult. That is why most people judge. Next one is by Lao Tzu. Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner. How much of our lives do we walk around caring what other people think about us? Right? And that's more to the point. You know, um, I don't really have to care about what other people think about the economy or what other people think about this or that. But when we start taking it personally, and we know taking things personally is a huge issue, but it's also very difficult sometimes not to take things personally. But what this quote, caring about what other people think, goes to the heart of what we talk about all the time, and that is our intent here is to live from the inside out, not from the outside in. We're not going to get into that place of joy, of living a happy life, if we're trying to live our life as a reaction to conditions around us. We have, through the creative process we talked about before, the ability to create the conditions that are around us. And if we start by coming from the inside out, that's how, with the creative process, that is how we create the conditions that are around us that we want to live in, that we want to be in, that is the life we want to create. We have that power. We have that possibility. We are so powerful in that way that none of us believes how powerful we really are. None of us really lives in that state of knowing how powerful we really are. But it's incredibly powerful. You go back to what Jesus said, these things that I do, you can do, if not greater. He's talking about that power. He's talking about we have that ability we in this teaching, one of the core things is the reason is that Jesus is such a big part of the textbook is that we believe Jesus was a great example, not the great exception. Because we have that power. We have been gifted that power, but we don't want to believe it. We don't want to believe that we are that powerful. When we get to the point of living from that inside out, we're living in that state of authenticity. And we've talked about it before, and I will hammer it home all the time. You will not be successful at anything to the extent you really want to be unless you're living authentically. And that kind of leads to another point that's going to come up two more down the road. But Pythagoras, who would have thought I'd be quoting Pythagoras today? I'll tell you. And I'll bet you Pythagoras never thought that someday Neil's going to quote me on a Sunday, you know. A fool is known by speech, and wise man by silence. A fool is known by speech, and wise man by silence. Well, it certainly goes to what was it? Mark Twain. It's better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you're a fool than open it and take away all doubt. But if you're talking, you're not learning anything, right? It's an old expression, and for most of it, it's a very good expression. However, there are times when, and I love those times, right, where you've been by yourself and you're thinking, and you've got that little voice I talked about in the beginning running through your head, and it's like, oh, I got this idea, and oh, yeah, this is great, and and you run it through your head, right? But it's all in your head, and you're not talking to anybody. And then you go in and you go, hey, Joe, I got this idea, and you start to say it out loud, and as soon as you say it out loud, you go, yeah, that's not that. No, that's not a good idea at all, right? Because you say it out loud. But in general, listening, right, is better, is basically what they're saying, and in a very, very crucial way, like what we use from Viktor Frankl all the time, and his between stimulus and response, there's a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. And this talks to emotional intelligence for sure. But what it also does is it gives us the ability to ask, to get to that place of curiosity rather than judgment. All right. And that's what he's talking about here, that listening in between, asking a question rather than an immediate knee-jerk reaction, of spending that time in silence before your response is so, so critical. Okay, here we go. Confucius, number 7. We're almost there. If you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Very wise statement, and it is so true. Once you think you're the smartest person in the room, you better find another room, folks, because you're not going anywhere there. Also, and I forget who was it, Jim Rohn, who said, you are the average of the 5 people closest to you that you hang with all the time. Think about that for a minute. Now, some of you may be panicking because you're thinking of the 5 people you hang with all the time, right? And it's, but it's really true. If I want to be a better guitar player, I hang with Clive, right? I hang with people that know what they're doing, who are really good and talented. I don't hang with people that play like me. It just doesn't work. We've had this conversation a lot. I am fascinated by extremely intelligent people. I don't consider myself on a par with those people, and I don't care. I'm not intimidated by them, but I want to be a sponge. I just want to take it in. I don't want to try and compete with them. I don't want to try and go one to one with them or impress them with something. It's just like I want to go back to what we said before. I just want to listen. I want to take it in, right? Because and honestly, this goes to a conversation I had with somebody else in our community. If you're in a place and you feel like nobody likes you, that you don't fit in with everybody, and you really, if you're being your authentic self, yeah, nobody's going to like you there, right? Why? Because you're being you. And you just need to go to the place where all those people are that are going to like you. That's not, you're just in the wrong room. That's all it is. It's not, it's not that um it's not that people are rejecting you. They're just so set in where they are that you just have to go to a different room. So that is, I think that's really, really an important thing. You gotta you gotta go where the food is. You gotta hang where the people are, that you can grow with and be with. And hopefully that's why you're in this community. Hopefully that's why we all come together to help each other grow. And number 8, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. Quote by Rumi. I cannot tell you how important that quote is. We talked about meditation earlier, but when and also when we talk about the quote from Jesus, about these things I do, you can do, or not, or greater. When we talk about non-local communication and intuition, this is what it's all about. We've all got that same ability to know far more. And it's more like peeling away the veil, peeling away the layers, rather than trying to exercise and learn something new. When we get rid of the chaos, when we get rid of the noise, we can get that information that's out there, the non-local communication. All of that, when we talk about manifesting and demonstrating in our lives, we sit down, we go into meditation, we put that intention out there. The more those layers we pull away, the more still we become, the more we get into that stillness and that quietness, and we get quieter and quieter, the more we're going to hear. And that's what we need to listen to. And that is so vitally important. So I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you a bonus quote here because this came afterwards, and this bonus quote is number 9, but it comes from an unlikely source. As I was watching an interview with Carl Lentz, and I don't know if any of you know the name Carl Lentz, but it is a controversial name in terms of Christian churches. He was the head leader pastor in New York City of the Hillsong Church, and he had built a very huge organization and a huge church, and then he fumbled the ball big time, folks, in so many different ways, and he fell, right? And this interview was about him coming back and using his faith and everything to come back. But he had a quote that I thought was really important. The moment you can take the hardest thing in your life and take more from it than it took from you, your life will change forever. And I think sometimes we tend to let some of those things that happen to us really, really weigh us down and constrain us and beat us down. This, without a doubt, goes to what the core of our belief is, and that is life does not happen to me, life happens for me. And that's what he's saying here. The moment we can, the moment we can take the hardest thing in your life and take more from it than it took from you, your life will change forever. And this takes a deep layer of faith. And that's why we're here. That's why we gather. And to quote another wise old sage, okay, don't tell her I said old. Faith grows when we practice letting go of the need to see the entire path before us before taking the next step. Now, Michelle's not that old, so don't tell her I said that, but that's a quote from Michelle. So, thank you. Anybody wants those quotes, let me know. I'd be happy to send them to you. And I'm happy to hear all the quotes that you guys have from those brilliant minds. So let's just take this into treatment. Ah. So there is a power and a presence. There is that power and presence that is greater than I am, and I know I can use it at any time. But what I know more than anything else is that there is the deep faith of knowing that this existence of power and presence that I call God is there, is always there, and that everything that I need in order to enjoy this life, to express myself as the authentic individual person I am, has been gifted to me already from God. That it is there now. And that as I turn away from conditions and I turn inside and I look inside to that source, that I allow it to flow, that I have confidence in it, that I know it's the truth and it's the foundation of who I am with every breath that I take. This knowing is what allows me to live with joy, to lead a happy life, to lead an authentic life, to live the life that I have been put here to express as the unique expression of this one mind. Knowing that that creative intelligence is there and been put into place, and that I have been created in that same image with that creative intelligence to create whatever life it is that I want. I release and I let go of any outside conditions, and I come only from that place, from the place of the I am. I am that I am. And I allow that to express. And with a great joy and with an enormous gratitude, I surrender these words to that power in the presence, knowing that it is the truth, knowing that it is that power in the presence that had already said yes to whatever it is, whatever that life is that I want to live. And in doing so, please join me in saying, and so it is. Our abundance blessing. Thank you all for being here today. This is fantastic seeing all your faces on this beautiful Labor Day weekend. And I thank and I'm so grateful for everybody who does whatever they do to help this community grow and spread and help others. And that's why we're here. There, everybody who participates in this community is interested in some way, in some form of having a life of service and helping others. And that's just the beautiful part of who we are. And it's the most important part of us as individuals. And I think that's wonderful. And in order to do that, yes, we need financial help, and yes, we need volunteers, and the help we get in so many different ways is so much appreciated that it's really, really fantastic. So I am putting in now our conscious giving affirmation into the chat, and if you would read along with me, I would appreciate it. I bless this gift that I give today. I give this gift from my heart, and I give it mindfully. May my gift go further to heal, prosper, and bless this center and all who enter. I accept all good that comes as a result of this flow, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And next week, September 7th, we're in person. And we will be having Reverend Dr. Michelle leads us in love. Absolutely. Come on out next week. It's September 7th, by God. Let's enjoy being all together in person. Let's start hugging each other. Um, we don't have a lot of announcements. I just do want to reiterate how important it is that if you feel so moved to really help us with our InReach program, as we do have people in our community with the way things are right now, having been some difficult. I don't know how many people want to hear the leaf blower, but I don't. Um, but there are times, cutbacks, struggles, and we love being able to have this fund where we can help people. And it's been a number of years, and we have been able to give some support, and we want to be able to do it. So, if you are able, um, please do that. Please give to that, and I will put in the link into the chat right now so that if anybody wants to do that, it's really an important part of who we are and how we serve. Um, and that's it for today, folks. So I appreciate everybody being here. Have a beautiful day. And yes, today is the most glorious day of my life, and it could be yours too.
At the Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, we believe in empowering individuals to discover their inner strength and their connection to divine life. Through our supportive community, transformative workshops, and uplifting services, we provide a safe space for personal growth and spiritual exploration. Whether you're seeking clarity, healing, or a deeper understanding of life's mysteries, our center offers practical tools and timeless wisdom to help you thrive. Join us in creating a more diverse, compassionate, and kind world. Your world, the way you want to create it.